Good evening and welcome to Money Matters. My name is Pat Welde with Merrill Lynch. My co-host this evening is Mr. David Emery from Marshall Financial Group. David, how are you?
Doing well. Good to see you again, Pat.
Good to see you. Please stay tuned. We do have a special guest this evening. We have a local entrepreneur who's going to talk to us about media and the internet and how that's all exploding, quite frankly. You'll hear from our special guest just in a few minutes, so please stay tuned. And I always like to start and remind our viewers that our program is taped, so please be cognizant of that and always verify any information that you hear with your own financial professionals. Okay, thank you. David, so how's things in your world?
Things are going well.
Good.
Things, it's I guess one of the things that I'm seeing recently with clients is some concerns about two different areas. One being employment,
sure,
and the other being taxes.
Yeah.
I've had just recently a couple of clients just actually today, one that just found out they've been downsized. And I guess you don't get a lot of that in the press these days, but it's still happening.
Yeah, definitely still happening. I mean, employment is clearly, I think it's something that's going to be here for a while, unfortunately. The other side I'd like to talk to you about is the taxation side, because it's early in the tax season. Many people don't even have their information yet to file their taxes, but I think some are going to be very unpleasantly surprised when they do their taxes this year. Can you help some of our viewers with what they might be surprised by?
I guess there's a handful of things. I think the timetable seems to be compressed. It just seems it takes longer to get the tax information reported to the families.
Yep.
That compresses the time that accountants have to do their jobs.
Right.
That's one of the big things that I've seen this year and last year. The other is with regards to tax rates. I mean, in general, tax rates are up, especially when you fold over the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
People in some of the higher income tax brackets, their tax bill is now gone up.
Right. Right.
So, what are you saying?
By a lot. Same thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that extra, that extra tax that I think most people have read about it and heard about it, but you don't really get it until you go through your own personal situation and you say, what do you mean I owe X amount of dollars? They withhold it from my paycheck. I say, well, no, remember those dividends and those capital gains and all that other income?
Right.
There's an extra, call it 4% on top of that, and if you make this much money. So I think it is going to be a surprise for many folks. I
have one client that I'm thinking of in particular. It's basically we help plan for 4 different tax scenarios, one being around Medicare, what's his Medicare fee going to be? Because the more he makes, the larger that in essence tax is. Income taxes, and then the capital gains tax, because the more you make, you fall into different brackets.
Right.
And then lastly, it's like you said, the Affordable Care Act with Obamacare. That's almost like a tax in and of itself that you have to plan. It's kind of off to the side.
Yeah, I think my message to folks is this is clearly, I mean, obviously many of our viewers, are already working with tax professionals.
Right.
But if they're not, and they have what they believe is a simple return, I think they may find it's not so simple, at least now.
That's right.
So they may want to seek some advice and guidance to see if there's something they can do in that area. How about when you're doing, let's say year-end reviews of last year, and we review a lot of the good that happened for many investors last year. What are some of the common themes that you're preparing for looking forward, which is obviously what we need to do?
That's right. Yeah, we'll just kind of comment looking backwards. I mean, last year was a very good year with regards to
for stocks,
with regards to equities. Looking forward. It seems like it'd be great if that repeats itself, and we hope it does. But it just seems that I think there might be a little bit of a little more chatter this year in the market than what we had last year. So one of the big things we do is we periodically, routinely help clients with rebalancing the portfolios, readdressing goals for a particular piece of money that they have invested.
Yep.
Goals, time horizons, and definitely continue to revisit the risk tolerance, because a lot of people, when 2008 came through, that was the one thing people thought they understood the risk tolerance, but then when the market adjusted down, that's when they really you know.
Had a wake-up call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, when the market's going up on the other end, yeah, the risk tolerance is kind of forgotten. But
Right.
certainly, I think all those areas are good to review.
Sure. I mean, the rebalancing technique, I mean, I know we've talked about it many times on this program, both you and I and other people.
Right.
But it's really a critical part of the plan. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, a simple, very simplistic example in a year like last year, you know, if you sat with your advisor and agreed that you were going to be, you know, 50-50, 50% fixed income or bonds and 50% stocks,
Right.
you know, in a year like last year where your fixed income either stayed the same or maybe even declined a little and your equities went up a lot, if you looked at where you are today, you may be 62% equities and 38% fixed income, not because you bought a lot more stocks or sold your bonds, just because of the fluctuations in the market.
Right.
This was a rather, you know, unique year for the discrepancies. All the more reason to, you know, sit down and make sure we're where we want to be.
Right. Yeah, I think rebalancing
You know.
is definitely important, and also monitoring your assets to their benchmarks, and, and just kind of taking a check to see if they're in line with what you want them to be doing.
How about some of the, you know, the cautionary, and I know we've also talked about this before, but it's still very timely, you know, this incredibly low interest rate environment we're in. You know, what are you doing for people who really do need income or they need some safety in their portfolio? How are you addressing those needs?
I mean, really, you know, we take a planning, more of a comprehensive financial planning approach, and for some of the clients that need to have very liquid assets, we almost use a bucket approach where we'll put maybe 2 years worth of living expenses in something that's very liquid, very stable, and they use that as their bucket where they're drawing off of, and then maybe another bucket that's a little more longer term, maybe a little more risk, and then the third one is for growth. So it's really looking at those three areas and having an understanding of which buckets of money are what they're for, and then designing a portfolio.
I think that's good advice. Do you have time for a question from
Absolutely.
one of our viewers? I have a question from a John Carey from Wayne who asks, any new ideas for college planning?
Wow.
Now, is this up your alley
This
or
is
what?
up my alley.
I know this is one of the areas you're an
I
expert in.
help clients understand how to reduce the cost of college. So one of the new, I guess looking back over the last year, what's new with college planning, one is that the financial aid form, the FAFSA form, they've continued, the Department of Education has continued to make adjustments, which in essence reduces the amount of aid families can qualify for. They've kind of tweaked the internal workings of that formula. That's one thing that's new. Other thing I've seen is that the state grant money is not as lucrative as it was before the recession. It's just how the states are. They're just not as financially well off as they were before the recession. So that's affected grant money. And then thirdly, one of the things I think people don't realize is the average time to get a 4-year degree in the United States now is 6.2 years. So I think the good news is taking a planning approach, a comprehensive college planning approach, where you understand, the family understands the financial impact of going to college, the potential debt that's going to be taken on.
Sure.
It's more than that. It's also understanding the admissions process, academic planning when your student's going through high school, and then I think what's really big is when you go to college, understanding what you're there for. You're there to prepare yourself for a job to come out, and understand what that means, both from a job opportunity, what kind of job can you get with the degree you're going through.
Sure. Sure.
All those areas I think help too. If you take a comprehensive planning approach, looking at everything, not just the financial piece, that in and of itself is a big way to reduce the cost of college. College is big business. I mean,
it certainly is.
It costs a lot of money.
Getting bigger and bigger. Well, John, hopefully that was helpful to you. And again, if you have questions, we would love to hear from you. You can always mail in your questions to Money Matters, 205 East Levering Mill Road, Bala Kimwood, PA 19004. and you can also email them to us. All one word, moneymatterstv@gmail.com. So please keep the questions coming, and we'll try to get you answers as well as David did with that one. So thank you. I now want to turn to our special guest. As I said to you earlier, we have with us tonight Mr. David Sonn, who's the president and founder of Intermedia. David, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Tell us a little bit about Intermedia. What is it that you do?
Well, Intermedia is a digital marketing agency. We're based out in King of Prussia, and we help companies get new customers. That's a common thread for any company, whether you're a one-man band or you're Apple. Everybody needs new customers. So that's what we focus on, and we use online and mobile tactics to achieve those goals.
What kind of companies do you work with? Is there any in particular you work with?
You know, honestly, we don't limit ourselves to any one vertical. We do work with medical diagnostics firms, senior living, business credit reporting. Honestly, we do work with all types of B2B, B2C, and even some nonprofits.
Fantastic.
Let me go back. Your earlier description talked about online and mobile tactics.
Right.
What are online and mobile tactics? How do you do it?
So let me back into that one, if you will.
Sure.
So when a company comes to us and they're like, we need a website, or we need something or something, we stop them and say, tell us your goal. What are you trying to achieve? Once we hear what that goal is, then we'll try to develop some kind of a strategy, and that strategy may be comprised of messaging, offer, destination, and then we'll include what I call a tactic. And a tactic is maybe building a website, maybe building a mobile website, or something related to search or to advertising. So that's our process, identifying the goal first and then figuring out one of those tactics. And the tactics, again, maybe to better answer your question, online would be, website, responsive website, mobile website, even text message marketing, online marketing, mobile marketing, that kind of thing.
Are your clients Philadelphia-based predominantly, or do you work with any national accounts as well?
Since we're a digital agency, we literally
Yeah.
can do work with anybody,
Right.
anywhere.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
about 40% of our customer base is in the Philadelphia area, but that other 60%, we're doing work with companies in Boston, DC, North Jersey, Atlanta, and in fact, two of our clients, their parent companies, are based in the UK, and we deal with people there directly.
Wow. What services are in the highest demand right now, you say?
So I would say, maybe if I had to say what are the three hot ones.
Right.
Search engine optimization. We have programs for companies where we try to get them ranked a bit higher in search engines. If you can get on the first page of Google, depending on what your offering is, that can be a game changer
Right.
for you. So we have managed programs that really focus, over a long period of time, because search engine optimization takes a while to really bear fruit, to really show results. Could take 6, 12 months or more. Conversely, we do a lot of what's called paid search, and those are the paid ads that appear across the top and down the side of a search engine.
Banner ads or things
Right.
like
Well,
that?
not
right?
banner ads per se. In the search engines, they're all text-based. So the
Okay.
beauty of that is I can go in, I can bid on a key term that I know is going to resonate with my potential customer, I know is going to give me business. I can bid on that term, I can write my text ad, I can control my budget, I can turn it on, I can turn it off. And it's one of the most efficient, effective means of advertising because I'm getting my message directly in front of someone who's searching for what I offer. So that's hot, and that's a great counterbalance to search optimization that takes a while. This one I can do instantly. I would have to say the third service that's pretty hot right now is online display advertising, and it's probably maybe better known as what you said earlier, banner ads. In the day, banner ads had a bad reputation because nobody really knew where they were showing up, was anybody seeing them, and the click rates were terrible. But that's all changed. Now with technology, with powerful algorithms, real-time bidding, and what we call demand-side platform, where we can really bid and really look at the landscape or the inventory of ads across many thousands of websites, you can really focus on a given audience. And I can look at a potential viewer on the other side and say, you know what, you're worth X to me. That's what I'm willing to bid. That's what I'm willing to pay to present my ad to you. It's fantastic. It's highly targeted. It's very measurable, and I can then build out campaigns that focus on branding where I'm trying to get eyeballs.
Right.
It could be based on clicks where I'm trying to drive targeted traffic to a website or to a landing page or a microsite. Or lastly, just straight out conversions. I'm trying to sell shoes, and we can figure out what makes the cash register ring and work it all the way back up the line.
A lot of times I feel like I'm being stalked with online ads. What's up with that? I mean,
You are.
Yeah.
We are absolutely stalking
Yeah.
you. That's called retargeting or remarketing. And let me explain it to you this way. We're all out on the web and we're all researching. We need to find something. We need to find a service or a product. And we are determined to find that absolute best solution for us. So we go from website to website to website trying to find that perfect thing for us. So if you come to my website, you clearly are a warm lead for me.
Right.
I don't want to let you go. And for whatever reason, you came to our site, you didn't buy from me. You didn't take the action I wanted. So what I do is I drop a beacon on your computer. And then the next day, the next week, the next month, I follow you around the internet. I can run ads, I can hit you with ads on other websites that you frequent. And the thinking is this: you're clearly a warm lead. I'm hoping that I'm in front of you when you're ready to make that decision, and when you're ready to make that decision, hopefully you buy from me. And what the data is showing, that if you couple that with a paid search or another type of campaign, retargeting is showing another 20% increase in customer acquisition.
Now, you called it a beacon. Is it the same thing as what's called a cookie? Is it?
Very close, yes.
Okay, so if somebody goes to one of your clients' sites, you actually know who that person is, not maybe their name, but you know that computer, and then you can target stuff to that computer.
Exactly right.
Anytime you want.
Yes.
wow.
Let me go back to the paid search, because I think this is fascinating, because it is everywhere, and I think very
Right.
few people, certainly I don't know, I know very little about it.
Right.
On the paid search that you provide, I know you said you can turn it on and turn it off. When does your client actually pay? When the ad pops up, or not until a person clicks on it?
In paid search, it's not until they actually click.
Okay.
And basically what
So just because I see something doesn't cost your client
Exactly
money,
right. And that's
unless I act on it.
Right, and isn't that even better?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You're only paying for a person who actually gets to your site so that you can convert them.
How about phones? I mean, I know mobile.
So-
everything in our world, in the
Right.
stock world, they're talking about how this is important to the mobile customer, and mobile commerce, and all this business that's being done on these now. It used to be smartphones. Now
Yeah.
they're really smartphones.
That's right.
Right.
How does
So-
that's got to impact you? I would
It
think.
really does, because nowadays, for our clients' customers, I should say, they expect that they can find you anytime, anywhere, and it's with that phone, it's that mobile device, and you had better provide a very optimized experience. If I can't see the text, if I can't take the actions I want, I'm leaving. Google just came out with a stat not so long ago that if I come to your website on a phone and it's not optimized for that phone, 60% of those people immediately leave. So now in my world, when I build a website, I cannot build a website just for your desktop computer. I got to build a website that's smart enough to resize from this desktop computer down to that tablet
Right,
that you're
right,
looking at in
right,
bed,
right.
or
Or
that phone in your
cell-
pocket.
yeah.
And we need to then be able to market across all device types.
So this might be a little off topic, but texting is becoming so big. Is there going to be ways to basically cookie texting?
Well,
or-
it's not so much cookie text, but you're seeing a lot of what's called text message marketing. And that's pretty successful if you have the right offer. Now, you've seen a lot of, you've seen it in benefit type concerts where they'll say, hey, text 444 and send $10 to
Yeah.
this particular
Right.
charity. That's one use of text message marketing, but there's other what we call opt-in, where you may be interested in my product, my service, my brand, and I hit you with a particular offer. It might be a promotional coupon, it may be a contest or what have you, but I get you to text me, and that opts you in. That now gives me permission that I can text you back. So over the next week, month, year, I'm going to hit you with targeted messages so that I can cut through the clutter. We all get thousands upon thousands of emails,
Right.
but when you get a text, you stop and you look.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's effective, but it has to have the right offer, it has to be the right solution and the right connection to the customer.
I mean, that leads me, that's a good question David had. That leads me to another question. I mean, as you said earlier, and I knew this part, that you actually can send a cookie, or what did you
Right.
call it?
Well, for that one, it's called a beacon. But
A
cookie,
beacon.
you're right,
Okay.
you're right.
A beacon to my computer, let's
Correct.
say. And every computer has their own, what is it, ID number? or
IP address.
IP address. Does a phone have an IP address as well? Can you do the same thing for someone's mobile device?
It can, but we're not using the same tactics there right now. But
Okay.
yes, I can identify a phone, I can identify a user type, I can identify even the device itself.
And what has the IP address? Is it that actual PC, or a person that's signing on and using it?
it's-
Like,
it's
if I have
that.
4 PCs in my house, do they all have different IP
They
addresses?
could, yes.
Okay.
Interesting. I mean, the texting. I mean, I've gotten some texts that were. I'm not sure if it was a scam or what.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know how they found my number.
Yeah. They may
So.
just try them all. They have a
Yeah,
mathematical
exactly.
program
There you
where they
go.
just fire them out
There you
there.
go.
And, you got lucky enough to
There's a
get
lot
it.
of that
Yeah.
too, unfortunately.
David, where does the King fit into all this? Where does Google fit into all this?
So let me talk about Google from
Sure.
from a search standpoint, because Google's got their hands involved in a lot of different
Right,
things. So
right.
Google is constantly changing their algorithm to provide the best possible search results for you, the user. They want to make sure that you're getting the right experience and connecting with the right information. So they're constantly updating that algorithm. We just went through 2 big ones, Panda and Penguin. I'm sure you've heard of those. Where they constantly are reworking the algorithm so that people who are trying to game the system to try to get around it, they ferret out those tactics and, again, make sure that the best content comes to the top, so when you're doing a search, you're finding the right information.
So they basically try to control your search optimization techniques.
They absolutely
Okay,
do.
all right,
So
okay.
no, that's a great point that you just made there.
So they're battling you. You're trying to
Right,
game
right.
their system, and they say, okay, we know you're out there. We're going to try to help the end user.
Exactly
Okay,
right.
all right.
So, but I will say this: there are SEOs like us that do what we call white hat. And so we've been very lucky. We have not been penalized at all. And we focus on content. We constantly work with our clients to develop very optimized, good, timely, fresh content, because that's really what Google wants.
Right.
Yeah.
The other piece that I got to talk about Google that's coming down the pike is in the fall they completely rewrote their algorithm, and it was a program called Hummingbird. Previous to that, they were baking on fixes like this, but they decided to step back and they rewrote the entire algorithm.
When did this? Very recently?
They did it in like last fall.
Okay.
The reason they did this is that they wanted their algorithm to be fast and to also work really well with mobile. And on top of all of that, they really want to focus on what's called natural language search. So, for example, if you're on your phone, you tap into Google and you say, where can I get my shirt cleaned? Google's going to be smart enough to say, you need a dry cleaner, and I'm going to return results of dry cleaners near wherever you are on your phone.
Gotcha.
That's where we're going.
And that's a good thing.
Yep.
For,
Yeah,
It is.
absolutely.
For you and Siri or whatever the heck you're doing
That's right.
on your,
That's
on your,
right.
on your,
There you
on
go.
your-
Yeah.
on your telephone. I think you already gave us a hint of this, but what's your process with a new client? I think you already touched on some of this earlier. But
I did, and again, I'll just say, for us, every single time, it starts with us identifying the goal. We got to really figure out what you're trying to accomplish. The only way I can be successful is if I try to understand what your goal is. I don't want a client to tell me how to get there. That's my job. Tell me what your goal is. I'll figure it out. And again, in most cases, we're using online or mobile tactics to achieve those goals.
So what do you see for 2014?
So for our company,
Right.
yeah.
we are very fortunate. I can already see a lot of our clients have signed, 12-month long-term contracts.
Great.
They've put trust in us. They've given us ample amount of time to really provide the results back to them that they need. And for us as a company, that provides stability. And,
Sure.
and as a company owner, you're always striving to get that.
Right.
I'm always interested to ask entrepreneurs, tell me about your background. How did you learn all this about what you're now doing?
Well, I will tell you, I'm going to go back to like the mid-'90s. In the mid-'90s, people were just getting introduced to the internet, and I I think there's something to this.
Sure.
You know, so I had a business partner, Dave St. Clair, and the two of us got together and said, let's focus a company on this. So the two of us founded a company. We founded one of the first interactive firms in Philadelphia where we focused on building websites for companies at a time at which most companies didn't even have a website. So there was a huge learning curve.
Right.
There was no roadmap. There was no blueprint of how to achieve this. There was a lot of limitations, but it was one of those good challenges. It was a challenge that we worked through. Had a successful company for 13 years. It was fantastic, and just a fantastic experience.
So did that company morph into this company, or?
To a point.
Yeah.
In 2010, I decided that I really wanted to focus on the customer acquisition piece. As I said earlier, it resonates with every single company that I touch. So I formed Arc Intermedia with that focus, and things have been fantastic.
If viewers are out there and they want to get a hold of you, I mean, how do clients get a hold of you to talk about their business and how you might be
Right.
helpful to them?
I think the best thing would be to go to our website, go figure,
Right.
arcintermedia.com. And then if you wanted to reach out and ask me a question directly, you can find me on Twitter at David Sonn.
And that's fascinating. I mean,
That's
this is
great.
this is an area that obviously, everyone is a part of
Right.
and experiencing, and I think it's fascinating.
Yeah,
quite frankly.
it's definitely a growth area. I mean, it's
Yeah.
that's it's almost.
I got to assume there's a lot of competition.
There is competition, but honestly, you're judged by your results, and we've got some really good results that we can show. And coupled with our results, we as a company, we focus on customer service. So when you take a subject matter which is ever changing and confusing, and you layer it with just really good customer service, and you treat people with respect, it just all works.
Yeah.
For
That's great.
for the business owner out there, I mean, we're wrapping up here. Any other words of wisdom for them of sort of why this is so important to them?
I think every one of us, every business owner, you can't lose sight that you constantly need to market your company. And there's varying degrees that you can do that. With social media and some of different basic SEO tactics and developing content that positions you as an expert in your field are things that every one of us can do to help facilitate our brand and to try to improve the marketing of our companies.
I think it's terrific. I think we
Absolutely.
could go on for probably
That's right.
another half
Interesting.
hour if we had the time, but unfortunately we don't.
Yeah.
We thank you for your time, David. I thank you for being with us and for
good seeing you again. Thank
for
you.
your input. Our next guest on the program, Money Matters, will be Jane Scassetti. Apologize, Jane, if I mispronounced that. With Drucker and Scassetti, who's a tax planner and helps a lot of entrepreneurs with consulting work around that. So please stay tuned for our next program and our next guest. And again, thank you for being here, David.
You're
We
very
appreciate
welcome.
it. Good luck with your business.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And for the viewers, thank you for your time and attention. Your money matters.